Welcome to Fuller Expectations, the podcast where we dive into topics like aging with confidence, navigating identity shifts, building new healthy habits, rediscovering purpose, health and wellness routines in midlife, and yes, maybe even money, retirement, relationships, and letting go of things that no longer serve you. I'm your host, Carrie Fuller, and I am so excited that you're here with me today. My hope is that our episodes feel like a blend of personal growth, real conversation, and gentle encouragement. We'll keep things honest, thoughtful, and practical. If you have not already, please hit follow so that our podcast can appear in your podcast library. We drop episodes every week, and we don't want you to miss it. And if you thought of somebody who might benefit by what you've heard today, please share this episode with them. And now let's get into today's episode. One of the most fascinating things about the brain is that it's constantly adapting based on what we think and what we experience. You may have heard the term neuroplasticity, and that is exactly what this means. Neuroplasticity means your brain rewires itself based on repeated thoughts and behaviors. It's a thing, you guys. So if the voice inside of your head is constantly saying, I'm not good enough, I always fail, this will never work, your brain begins strengthening those neural pathways. And over time, those thoughts start to feel like facts, even though they began only as beliefs. But here's the encouraging part. If you begin repeating different thoughts, like instead of saying what I just said before, I'm not good enough, I always fail, this will never work, blah, blah, blah. Repeat these thoughts instead. I'm learning. I can figure this out. This is hard, but I am capable. If you literally think those things instead, just change your beliefs, your brain begins building new neural pathways. That's a real thing. This doesn't happen overnight, but with repetition, your brain literally becomes wired for a more constructive mindset. So your brain literally is always listening to that voice inside your head. And over time, it begins to believe whatever story you tell it the most often. So you have to change the way that you talk to yourself. Another fascinating system in the brain is the reticular activating system. Often we abbreviate this as RAS. So the reticular activating system is basically your brain receives millions of pieces of information every second, but it can only consciously process a tiny fraction of that. So the RAS acts like a filter, deciding on what information gets your attention. And here's the interesting part. Your mindset helps determine what your brain notices. So, for example, if you believe that nothing ever works out for you, your brain will notice every example that supports that belief. But if you believe that opportunities are everywhere for you, your brain's going to start noticing possibilities and solutions and connections that were always there, but you weren't paying attention to before. So truly, your brain isn't just observing reality, it's filtering through the beliefs that you carry. This is powerful stuff, you guys. So, the two things we're talking about today is the clutter inside your head and the clutter around you. So interesting fun fact about the clutter around you in your environment, whether it's a messy office at work or your messy house or whatever, the clutter around you actually increases stress hormones. So there is real research showing that clutter impacts stress levels. A study from UCLA found that people who described their homes as cluttered had higher levels of cortisol, which is the body's primary stress hormone. So go figure. When your environment is full of visual distractions and unfinished tasks and disorganization, your brain actually interprets that as unresolved problems. Whether you know it or not, your brain is automatically doing that. So even if you're not consciously thinking about it, that's why walking into a calm, well-organized space, often people feel immediate relief. Like think about that. If you've ever had a massage or if you ever went to a spa or the hair salon that you go to, you walk in there and it smells good and it's clean and it's calming environments. There's a reason for that. It actually changes your mindset in that space, right? So your nervous system recognizes that environment as safe and manageable. That's really, really good for you. Clutter isn't just a visual noise. It's mental noise too, and your brain sees unfinished tasks everywhere that it looks. When people talk about changing their life, they often think they need a huge breakthrough, but sometimes the biggest changes come from two simple things. Changing the story that's in your head on repeat, right? And changing the environment that you live in every day. We have to declutter both of those spaces, and I'm so excited to cover that today. Today, we're talking about something that quietly shapes every single aspect of your life. We're talking about the voice inside your head and your mindset. The way you talk to yourself, the way that you interpret situations, the beliefs that you carry about what's possible for you, whether you realize it or not, that internal voice has enormous power. You can build up yourself based on that, or you can tear yourself down. It can convince you to try something new, or it can convince you not to even bother trying anything at all. And for many people, that voice has been running on autopilot for years. But mindset isn't the only thing shaping our daily experience. Environment plays a powerful role too. So think about how you feel when you walk into a clean, calm space compared to a cluttered, chaotic one. Your environment doesn't just surround you, it influences your mental clarity, your stress level, your ability to focus, and believe it or not, it even influences your motivation. So today we're going to talk about two things that are really deeply connected. Your internal environment, the voice inside your head, and your external environment, the spaces you live and work in every single day. We're going to explore simple steps that you can take to begin to declutter both of these things so that you can create more clarity, more calm, and more intention in your life. Because the life you experience on the outside often begins with what's happening on the inside. Every person has internal dialogue running through their head all day long. You might not even notice it anymore because it's so constant. It's the voice that says, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. Why should I try? I always mess things up. Or if you're on the positive side, your voice might say, I'm going to figure this out. This is a challenge, but I love challenges. I'm going to handle this. I am capable of learning something new. The fascinating thing is that your brain believes the story that you repeatedly tell yourself. If the voice in your head is constantly critical or pessimistic, it becomes your default perspective. But the good news is the opposite is also true, and you can train your mind to think differently. So this is a really good thing, right? Not by ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect, but by shifting how you interpret what's happening around you. So instead of the voice inside your head saying, this is impossible, you got to switch that narrative and instead think or say to yourself, this is unfamiliar, but I'm excited that I can learn. That simple shift changes how your brain approaches challenges, but your environment is also talking to you. So let's talk about something that people overlook a lot of the time, your physical environment. The spaces where you spend your time affect your nervous system way more than you realize. You actually probably might not even know it. Or you're like me and you walk in a room and if things are chaotic, you feel chaotic and you have to fix it all. When your environment is cluttered or chaotic, your brain is constantly processing unfinished visual signals. There's piles of paperwork, things are out of place, or it's really noisy. Noise is a factor too. Even if you think you're ignoring it, your brain is still working to process it. And it creates what psychologists call background stress. You might not even feel it consciously, but it really shows up. It drains you mentally. It creates irritability. You have trouble focusing. You feel overwhelmed. A calm environment signals safety to your brain, but clutter signals unfinished business. Whether you realize it or not, your mind is going and processing that in a negative way. So let's talk about why decluttering works. When you begin to simplify your environment, something interesting happens. You actually experience clearer thinking and better focus, less stress and more motivation. You might not even know it, but these things will happen because your brain no longer has to process unnecessary noise. So this leaves capacity for you. Many people think about decluttering as an aesthetic thing, and sure it is. I mean, it looks nice when things are in order, but it's really about mental clarity too. Your environment either supports your peace or it works against it. So we're going to talk about some practical steps to declutter your mind. We're going to start with your mind first, and then we'll talk about environment. So the first thing is to notice your internal dialogue. Pay attention to how you actually talk to yourself. And when you hear what you're saying to yourself, would you speak to your friend that way, your best friend or your spouse or your significant other? If not, it's time to change the narrative. So number 2 is to reframe negative thoughts. So instead of constantly picking at yourself and thinking that you're horrible at something, give yourself some grace and tell yourself you're learning and you're trying and you want A, B, or C. Small changes in language shift your mindset dramatically. Number 3 is limiting the mental noise. Constant news and social media and information overload can create mental clutter. Did you ever notice if you're watching a movie and it's like really loud and the guns are shooting or people are screaming at each other, you actually start to feel anxious? That's an example of that. So social media is crazy. You got to stop, just unfollow negativity and follow things that make you smile or make you laugh instead, if you have to be on social media. Just give your mind a little bit of quiet space. And some things you can do to help with this, going for a walk is amazing. It just clears your mind. It's really, really positive for de-stressing. And do things that you enjoy, like journalism or reading or things like that, where you're not constantly focusing on noise around you. And number 4, let's talk about writing things down. When your mind feels crowded with thoughts or worries, write them down. This really does help your brain release the need to keep rehearsing them. Getting it out on paper actually clears it from your mind. So try writing things down when you feel a little crowded or anxious about something. So let's shift to decluttering your environment. So start small. This is actually, when you look at everything at once, it might seem super overwhelming, but take one small space at a time. Like pick your dresser one day, just clean out your dresser. Or your closet. And if your closet's big, break it down into sections, right? So clean things out one small area at a time. Pick your bathroom cabinet, do that. Like these small spaces, when you clean them out and organize them, you're going to start to feel so much better about it that's going to fuel you to move on to the next space. And then maybe do your laundry room one day, or do, your bedroom one day. And if your bedroom's too large to take on all at once, just break it down and do different sections of your room. This will really, really help you build momentum to keep on decluttering and organizing, donate things, do things with your stuff that you don't use anymore that make you feel good about it. When we remove things that don't serve a purpose in our life anymore, ask yourself the question, when you pick something up, do I use this? Do I need it? Does it make my life harder or easier? If you don't need it or use it, and if it's not bringing you joy, put it in a box and bring it to a charity that means something to you. And even one clean, organized area, honestly, it does shift your mood dramatically. Whether it's the kitchen counter or your desk or your nightstand, things like that, you're going to feel that. And it's honestly will give you the fuel to keep on going and declutter other spaces in your environment. So surprisingly, reducing this visual noise, sometimes decluttering isn't about getting rid of everything. It's about simplifying what you need in your life every day. So when you combine this calmer environment with a clearer mind, something powerful happens. You begin to live and feel more intentional in your life. It truly does help with decision making, how you respond to situations. It creates mental space to think about the life you actually want to live instead of being distracted by the noise or the clutter that's around you. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with a simple thought. Your life is shaped by two environments. The one environment is inside of your mind, and the other one is what's around you every day. If either one of those environments is filled with noise and clutter and negativity or chaos, it becomes so much harder to think clearly and move forward with intention. But the encouraging part is this: you have way more control than you realize. You can begin changing the voice inside of your head by becoming more aware of the story that you tell yourself. And you can begin by changing your external environment one small step at a time, one drawer, one surface, one space, and slowly that fuels you to keep on going. So one small change really does create the momentum, and momentum is what creates transformation. Remember that. So if today's episode resonates with you, maybe your next step is simply this: choose one small thing that you can clear, both in your mind and in your space that you live in or work in every day, and just start there. Because when you create clarity in your mind and your environment, you create space for something more important. It really does help with creating the life that you want to live. Thanks for joining me today on Fuller Expectations. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep creating a life that truly reflects who you want to become. Thanks for listening today. If this episode sparked something in you, please share it with a friend, leave a comment or a review, and reach out and let me know what resonated. Remember, no matter what age or stage of life you're in, you can pivot. And always remember, the second half of life is not a winding down. It's a waking up. Please follow or subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our podcast family. Let's keep showing up and being the best version of ourselves. Until next time, take care.